not necessarily reflect those of Para-X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
Supernatural, metaphysical, paranormal. You know, all those things you've been wondering about? Are you ready to go deeper into the realms of the unknown? I hope you've got your walking shoes on, because life is an adventure, and this is the journey. Come on, let's go.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's Wednesday night, and this is the Journey Radio Show. I'm Jen Cruz, your host, and we're showing up as the She-Squatchers again because we're going to be talking about Bigfoot and other cryptids as well. And my trusty teammate Jenna could not be with us tonight, so I'm going to be here by myself representing the She-Squatchers. But hey, we have an amazing guest tonight, and she happens to be a female Bigfoot researcher, so she can be an honorary She-Squatcher for tonight if she wants to be. How's that? We've got Amy Bue coming on the show, and she is just really awesome. She's co-founder of Project Zoobook, an investigator for the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, the BFRO in Ohio and in Pennsylvania. Head of Amy's Bucket List Expeditions. That's really an awesome, cool name for that. A reading teacher, writer, and editor from Ohio, Amy Bue became interested in the search for Bigfoot after a sighting in Ohio's Mahoning County in 2012. While her main research area is in Pennsylvania's Allegheny National Forest, I hope I'm saying that right, and Ohio's Columbiana County, Amy has traveled to New York State, Kentucky, Oregon, Washington State, West Virginia, and all over Ohio, following up on leads. Recently, much of Amy's efforts have been put into her Project Zoobook, a group she co-founded comprised of primatologists, zoologists, anthropologists, and other scientists working alongside Bigfoot researchers from across the country. She was given the International Bigfoot Conference's 2018 Dedicated Researcher Award for her work with this group. Amy is an active speaker and has spoken for events and organizations such as Oregon's Beachfoot or Ohio's Creature Weekend, several outdoor hunting and fishing conventions, Ohio State Park Systems, and for the Ohio Division of Wildlife and its Audubon Society. Creekfoot, a well-loved biannual Bigfooting event in Ohio, was created by Amy and her research partner, Tina Sands. As a writer, Amy's articles on the topic have been published in California's Bigfoot Times and in newsletters as far away as Norway and Australia. She is currently writing a book about Ohio's Tom Page, one of Roger Patterson's financial backers and a partner in his adventures. She has also just started a Facebook blog under the name ABLE, A-B-L-E, Amy's Bucket List Expeditions. In between giving time to those efforts, Amy recently completed her certification classes through the Ohio State University to become an Ohio Certified Volunteer Naturalist. She has recently started studying with the Midwest Native Skills Institute, and she plans on using her new survival skills in her continued search for proof of Bigfoot's existence. How awesome is that? I wish my resume was that impressive. Hey, Amy, are you there? Will you come on the show?
I am here. Yes.
Hi,
like,
welcome.
I want to meet her.
I know, it sounds so good. Will you write my bio?
I will. I'm a writer.
That's so awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the show tonight. I'm really excited to have you.
Me.
Yes. And I have to, one female Bigfoot researcher to another, I welcome you to the show. I'm just celebrating your being part of the Bigfoot community. And I just think there's this camaraderie between Bigfoot researchers that I've really enjoyed. I've really enjoyed that. And I'm sure that they have welcomed you with open arms as they have welcomed us. Is that true?
Most of them, yes. Yes, I love the Bigfoot community overall. I really do.
Yeah, I do too. So what got you started in being interested in Bigfoot in the first place?
Well, I always kind of used to like to watch like In Search of and all of that kind of stuff when I was a little kid. And I was really entranced or enchanted, I guess, with the Loch Ness Monster after a paper I had to do for school. But I didn't really think about it much until years and years later, because I'm getting up there in age. But in 2012, like you read, I saw something from a moving car, and I was a passenger in the car going over a bridge in Mahoning County's Meander Reservoir. And I saw what to me looked like a Sasquatch. And I had never thought about anything like that in terms of Ohio, especially, or really in terms of something that could be real, because it was just something from, Harry and the Hendersons, or, I mean, like, I was intrigued with In Search of and stuff, but I didn't really think it was real. I never really thought about it much, except for an occasional paper that one of my own students, I became a teacher, and one of my own students, a couple of them wrote papers about Bigfoot. So other than that, it's just something I never thought about. And I saw this thing, and that's what it looked like. Because, in popular culture, even, we all kind of know what a Bigfoot's supposed to look like, right? So it was holding onto a tree, and it was really big, but it was about a football field away from us at the time that we were parallel to it. So even now, I'm not sure what it was because it was so far away, but that's what it looked like. And so I started to look into this because it affected me that much, like it impressed me that much. And so I just Googled Bigfoot in Ohio. I remember that's what I Googled, and all the stuff came up, and I hadn't heard of the BFRO before that. I hadn't heard of anything, and there were not only just a lot that came up in Ohio. I started reading about the history of Bigfoot in Ohio with Don Keating and all of these people, that now I'm actually friends with, but I just had no idea. And so even if that first sighting wasn't a real Bigfoot, and now I do think that it was, but pretend it wasn't because I can't prove it, right? I still really started enjoying the history of this, because as a writer, I like the human interest side of this as well. And I started kind of looking into it that way. But then once I started talking to other people that have had sightings, that's when I really, really got interested.
That's very neat. That's very neat. It gets you hooked. It pulls you in, and for me, it's a to be continued all the time. And
It is.
It's like a book you can't put down.
Absolutely. I always tell people, that first sighting, again, it was so far away. I can't prove what it was, but look at me now. Like, I always say it's my second full-time job. I'm a teacher, but I spend probably more hours with Bigfoot research and running my ABLE organization and Project Zoobook and speaking and all of that, mostly being in the woods because that's what I love. But, I spend so much time on it. If I didn't really think it was real, I wouldn't be doing it.
Right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd love to hear about some of your really cool experiences. Would you care to share any of them with us?
Sure. I've had, I always say I'm not the maybe most exciting Bigfoot researcher, because I go out quite a bit. I go out a lot, as much as I can. And I probably overshare on Facebook, everything I'm doing. But when I'm really out in the woods, I don't always put that out there. So I'm out actually doing investigations more than people would think. And it's what I love to do. Like I said, I love to be in the forest. So I'm out there a lot, but I don't have a lot of experiences compared to some. But, I always say I'm not going to make stuff up. If I see something or I hear something, I will tell you about it. But if not, then if not. And I still have fun. I would say if I hear a barred owl out there, then I'm happy. It's worth my time out there because I just love it. But I have had some really cool things happen. I think they are anyway. So I had that initial experience in 2012. I started reading everything, meeting some people, going to hear people speak about this. I think I've read every Bigfoot book out there, or almost, and articles and reports, not just on the BFRO's website, but on lots of different groups. There's so many groups, out there. And anyway, so I met the Ohio Night Stalkers before they were the Ohio Night Stalkers, back when they were just Mike and Mike. And they were the ones that took me out the first time Bigfooting. And so,
wow.
yeah. And so I always say it was kind of beginner's luck, because even that first night we had my husband at the time and our daughter stayed back at the car, and we had macheted away kind of up this hill, and this was at Salt Fork State Park in Ohio. And we were standing up at the top of the hill. It was me, I can't even remember, one of the Mikes, I think it was Mike Feltner and his son Jordan, and there was another guy with us. I can't remember his name, I'm sorry. But we were, up on this path that wasn't really a path, and we were standing there. It's dead quiet. I used to be so afraid to go in the woods. I didn't even like to go in the daytime so much by myself, let alone going at the dark, in the dark, no matter if there's people with me or not. Like, I just didn't like it. But I'm like, no, I'm going to do this. So we're standing there, and it got really quiet. So you couldn't hear anything, like any crickets or anything. And this is in the spring. Well, late spring, I guess, early summer. And we had these rocks thrown at us. Like, it was like a handful of small rocks that just like ping, ping, pinged in at us. And the funny thing before that happened was it was so quiet, and I said, and I know I said this because they still have it on audio, but I was like, I think I want to go back now. I just didn't. I just had this weird feeling, and then these little stones came in at us, and I could see them. Like, even if it's dark out, if there's any kind of a moon, you can see around you. Nobody was throwing them. Nobody knew we were going, because I actually took them to the spot. I didn't know them to know whether or not I should trust them. Now they're very good friends of mine. But I don't know if I ever told them this, but before we left the lodge, I went up to the girl that was at the front desk, and I told her, I'm going out looking for Bigfoot with these guys from room whatever it was. So if I don't come back, they murdered me or something. Because I was like, I don't know these guys. You're going out in the woods with them. But sorry, Mike and Mike. But anyway, so I was nervous anyway. But I took them to this spot because I had found what I thought was a footprint. Like, I was really new at it all, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And so I knew that they could not have planted anybody there, because they didn't know where we were going. And it was outside of the park, actually, that we went. And so that was my first experience, and I thought, oh, this is great. Like, every time you go out, something's going to happen, which we all know isn't true. So after that, I've had a few things. I was down in Shawnee, down near Cincinnati, Ohio. I was with David Webster and his family from Indiana, and another friend, and we had set up some chairs along the side of the road, and we were in the middle of nowhere. And that's another time when we had a bigger rock, kind of like this, actually, about this size, about that size, that came out of the woods and flew past all of us. So, here I am, and I'm always skeptical. I'm thinking, well, I guess there could be some dude out in the woods throwing a rock at us, but there were no cars or trucks, and we were there at an odd time. And, I still was like, can you explain this any other way? Because I think we all try to explain it any other possible thing it could be. But I couldn't explain that one. Another time I was with Mike and Mike again, and we were at a private area that you had to have a pass to get in, a permit to get into. And I think they had the permit for a couple days, so nobody would have known which time of day we were going or where exactly we were going in this area. And I remember sitting again. A lot of times what's happened to me has been when I've been with a seated team, because sometimes you'll go out and you have one team cutting through this way and one this way, and then you have a seated team. And so sometimes I feel like those are the best. But although I like to hike too. But anyway, we had just gotten out of the car and set up chairs again, for base camp or whatever you want to call it. And I remember I was tying my shoe. It was dark, and there was a kind of steep um, wall of earth, going up to a ridge, and there were trees up there. And I remember we all were hearing something kind of crashing toward us. It wasn't coming straight down; it was crashing toward us, and it ended up being a big log that came out and hit about 5 feet or so from us. And I remember all of us doing what you learned in school to put your hands over your neck. And that was really scary, that one. We stayed in there for a bit. I remember when we left, we heard some rocks clacking together and even a vocalization. So that one I can't explain either. And then in 2018, so there's a pretty big time between there. There's 2012, a couple things. I think that was 2015 or 16, and then 2018. I had a what I consider a real Class A sighting through a FLIR camera. It was on an expedition, and I was on a seated team again because the night before I had been the one dragging everybody through the woods. So I was actually going to leave, and I was asked if I could stay to kind of, I guess, be the lead person on this little team of people that wanted to stay. And we saw something through a FLIR camera that I really don't know how to explain otherwise. And it was two of us that saw it. A gentleman that was with me. I don't know if they want me to say their name, so I'm not going to, but he jumped up. He had his FLIR and he was looking through it. And he's like, "What is this?" And he was like not a believer at all. He was just there to humor his wife, kind of like my fiance was there with me to humor me. And we back and forth were looking at this very large object, a creature, or something alive that was walking away from us down the power line cut. And we had heard something earlier. I had heard some footsteps. We smelled something funny. It was like kind of like a classic Bigfoot sighting, because we call those power line cuts the Bigfoot highways sometimes because people see them there every once in a while. And we watched it go down the power line cut, and it went over what I knew was a embankment down to like a river or creek. I'm not sure what where that changes, but and I know a person could go down there, but it would be very difficult for them because it's pretty steep, and it was just gone. And so we waited for the other team. We were radioing back and forth. We waited for them to come back, and in the meantime I sent Lester, my fiance, down that hill because I wanted to get a size comparison of him compared to where this thing had been. And the only thing we could look at was there was a base of one of the towers that was still hot from the residual heat from the day. And there was that, and then there were the tall trees and the tall towers. So our impression of this thing that was walking away from us, because it was getting smaller, was that it was big. But once he got down and stood where we had first seen it, I'm like, retreat, come back, because it just was so much bigger than him. And then we had another guy that was on the other team that came over, and we call him Big Kevin because he's 6'9", I think. And we sent him down, and it was scary, like now. I said I used to be really afraid to go out. Now I feel like maybe I'm gone too far the other way, because I think you have to have some healthy fear, or some healthy I don't know, just be aware, but I was really scared when I saw how small Kevin looked compared to what we had seen. And it wasn't a FLIR that you could focus or in and out or anything. It was what it was. And they separated, myself and the gentleman that saw it, and we didn't see each other for 3 weeks. We both got interviewed. We both drew pictures of what we had seen. We both described what we had seen, and it matched up really well. And I will never forget that night. That was a crazy night because it was really big. It was intimidating, and it's what I wanted to see. But when it happens, and I've heard this from witnesses, reports that I've taken, it's when it happens, it could be a little frightening. So I like that. One other thing that was cool, like really cool. I guess it's been about a month now. Time's flying. But I went out to Oregon this summer, and I was able to go remote camping with some friends of mine. I was out there with Shane Corson and Chris Spencer and Kevin Morrison, and we were at Mount Hood National Forest, and we kind of traveled really far into the forest. Then we went down this really bumpy, like logging road or access road. I think we were riding on that for at least 20 minutes, like, and then we had got to the trailhead. We backpacked into an area with a small lake that we stayed near, and we had some really cool stuff. I know Chris is still reviewing all that audio, but we had some vocalizations, we had some percussives, tree knocks, and we may or may not have even found some prints while we were there. But that was exciting. It was very exciting. The funny part was that I was kind of scared the last night we were there, and because I kept hearing this noise. I don't know if scared is the right word, although I admitted I do get scared sometimes, but I was fine the whole time. And then that last night I was just like, because I'm in my tent by myself. What is that? I kept hearing this odd noise. And it was just Kevin had his cooler outside of his tent, and it was just probably a raccoon getting in it, and it was bumping up and down. So, you don't get scared at the things you should, and you get scared of raccoons sometimes.
I've actually experienced something like that when we actually had an encounter where rocks were being thrown and we could hear something coming towards us. And when we got in the car to leave that area, because the girls were terrified, literally terrified, and we're driving down this little one car road. I mean, there's no room for anything else, and the woods is right up on it.
Right.
And we all of a sudden we see eye shine, and we all freaked out. But it was a fox.
Right? It is, but that's sometimes the scariest things. Like, it's a squirrel.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and we were probably 2 miles up the road by the time we saw this, but we were just freaked out from what had just happened.
It startles you, right? It
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we had to laugh at ourselves for freaking out at a fox, but I mean, that's the kind of thing that happens.
It is, and it's part of the fun.
Yeah, for sure. It's the laughing at ourselves for that. Oh my gosh, look at that. It's icy eyes.
Yeah.
Oh, look, it has a big bushy tail and it's a fox. So fun stuff. They're good times for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. How exciting. So I just gotta say, I just started talking to Amy yesterday.
So funny.
Do you want to tell a story of how that happened?
I'll tell it. It was the weirdest thing, and all day I was thinking about messaging you, and I'm like, she's gonna think I am like Looney Tunes. But what happened was the night before yesterday, I had this dream, and I'll every once in a while have kind of vivid dreams, but not often. I'm usually like out sleeping. But I had this dream, and I know who you are, obviously. I know who the She-Squatchers are. I know who you are. And like you said yesterday, like you're always popping up as somebody that I should friend on Facebook. And I don't even know why I haven't, but we've never met in person or anything. And so anyway, I had this dream, and I was at like a conference, it seemed. And there was a lot of people milling around, and there were tables with people sitting at them. So that's why I say that. And so I walked like from the right over to the left, and you were sitting there, and I walked up to you. So it's like I was not myself, like I'm watching this happen, right? And I see myself talking to you, and we were laughing about something. And then it just was kind of over. And I woke up, and I'm like, well, that's weird. Like, I don't know. It was just kind of strange because we've never met or anything. And so I messaged you, and I told you that, and you were so nice. You were not like, what is wrong with you? But I'm like, you might think this is weird, but I just had a dream about you. And then I find out that we're going to be at the same event. So
yes.
Maybe that's why I had the dream.
Exactly. Probably a little psychic. Good job.
Maybe.
I think everybody's a little psychic. Everybody has gifts. They just either recognize them as such and
Yeah.
or they don't.
Right.
And
Right.
some people pay more attention to it and it develops into something greater than
Yeah.
what the average person does. So I think everybody has those abilities. So, because everybody has thought about somebody that they hardly ever think about, and then the phone rings and it's that person. I mean, everybody has experienced that at one time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's that precognitive stuff. But yeah, good job for reaching out. She said, I think you probably think this is crazy. I totally don't think that's crazy. I would totally reach out to somebody if I was dreaming about them and it was so vivid. I would absolutely reach out.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's crazy at all. I'm glad you did.
Me too.
Because I've actually stopped and looked at you every time it suggests. I'm like, yeah, but I don't know her.
Yeah. Right. Like usually I wait till I meet somebody because I don't want them to think I'm wacko.
Right.
No, I'm glad I did.
Yeah, I'm glad you did too. So it just worked out. I'm like, hey, do you want to come on the show?
I know. It's funny.
Yeah,
Sure.
I hear about you all the time from other people. And then when we went to the Virginia Bigfoot Conference in June, on the way there, we stopped and stayed with a friend of ours in Ohio. Her name is Sherry. Hi, Sherry. And we get there and she says she met this woman from down the road and she happened to tell her that the She-Squatchers were coming to her house. And she said she knew who you were. She got kind of really excited. And I was like, well, that's really cool. She didn't say what your name was or anything. So when she saw the ad for the show coming up, she's like, oh, I see that she found you.
That's really funny.
And I'm like, what do you mean who found me? And she said, Amy. That was the woman down the road that knew who you were when I told her that you were coming. And I'm like, well, if you would have said her name, I know who she is too.
That's funny. I remember I had somewhere I had to be that night too. So when she said that, I forgot about that until you brought that up.
Yeah. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
But of course, it made us feel important. Some stranger knew who we were randomly. That was nice. Thanks for that.
That's
usually,
funny.
if they're not in the Bigfoot world, they don't know who we are. But
oh, same. For sure.
Yeah. But yeah, and sometimes they do if they're in the Bigfoot world. So that's kind of neat. I don't know if that's always a good thing or a bad thing. But
right.
They know who you are.
Yeah.
Right. So hopefully it's all good stuff. So
yes.
Yeah. But I'm really excited. We haven't even really announced that we're going to that event yet.
Okay.
Because we were kind of waiting for them to put it on their website. But I guess the guy who does the website is on vacation in California.
Okay.
So
you guys said the name of it, did I? I hope not.
Well, we'll just tell everybody right now. We'll bring it out. We're not on their website yet, but hey, we're the She-Squatchers are going to be at the Fact or Fiction Fest, part of the Horror Hound Weekend in Indianapolis, Indiana, September 6th, 7th, and 8th. And it is going to be huge.
It is
huge. I heard they're expecting possibly 40,000 people every single day to be at this thing. It's humongous.
It is.
Let's see, Bob Gimlin's going to be there. The guy, and for the listeners, he's the one who recorded the Patterson-Gimlin footage, that famous Bigfoot footage from 1967, was it?
Yep.
And so he's going to be there. He's like a legend in the whole thing. He's the guy. He is the guy.
Yes, he is.
So you just got to come out and meet him. And Travis Walton from Fire in the Sky. He's the guy who got abducted. It was his true story. He's going to be there. Love Travis Walton. We got to hang out with him before at Crypticon in Kentucky. Let's see who's going to be there. The Ohio Night Stalkers. The Mikes are going to be there. Let's see. Help me remember. Amy Bue.
Lyle Blackburn. Wes Germer, I think, is going to be there.
Yes, Sasquatch Chronicles. I'm just like geeking out really hard right now.
Yeah.
I can't wait to meet him. Have you met him?
I met him briefly. Yes, I don't think he knew who I was. I was just the person going like this from across the room.
Yeah, I might like not be able to speak. I'll be like,
Right.
hi, hi, hi.
Really nice though, yeah. And Jeff Byers from Creature Replica. And who else? Like I am zoning out. Well, it's, like you said, Factor Fiction Fest is a part of Horror Hound. And my fangirl is out for Pee Wee Herman because he's gonna be there.
Yes.
So I'm like his biggest fan. So
Are you?
I'm so excited. I am. I love him. I love Pee Wee. Paul
Well,
Rubin. Yes, I should call him Paul, but I think of him as Pee Wee.
that's awesome.
Yes.
Yes. I'm excited to meet him too. Well, if we get to meet him, because there's
Yeah,
going to
I
be
hope
so
so.
many people there. There's going to
Yep.
be so many people there. But that's the Factor Fiction Fest, part of Horror Hound Weekend in Indianapolis, September 6th, 7th, and 8th. And at that, we're going to go to our half the show break. So stay tuned, everybody. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Awesome. Okay, so we should be good. I'm now looking at the website because I know not even everybody's on there because they just announced what's his name? The guy. I'm not saying it's aliens.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens. I'm trying to remember his name.
I forget his name too, but it's like sounds Greek.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, from Ancient Aliens guy. Yeah. That's exciting. People, I think a lot of people like to see him.
Well, Mike Feltner called me today and he was telling me how excited he was that this guy was going to be there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Giorgio Tsoukalos.
That's it. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, I don't think I ever knew his name. I watch that every once in a while too because it's kind of fascinating.
Yeah, I love that show. I do.
Mm-hmm. Very fun.
Yes. How exciting. So he's going to be there. Is he part of Factor Fiction?
Yeah. He's going to be in our room.
All right.
I know. Yeah. Who else? I'm trying to think of who else. I just can't think right now. It's going to be fun though.
Sasquatch Chronicles, UFO Encrypted Art, Lori Foster.
I just can't think.
And the Super Section.
$30 seconds.
Dr. Rebecca Foster, Creature Replica, Cryptid Matter, Amy Bue, Night Stalkers, Bill and Amy Lancaster.
Oh yeah.
David Baccarat. Is it Baccarat? Sorry, say that.
Remember. I'm not sure.
And
Welcome back to the show, everyone. This is the Journey Radio Show. When we are not live online, you can find us online at thejourneyradioshow.com or check us out at the SheSquatchers.com. And we have a little link at the top of the page to find our Facebook page. Won't you please come over and like and follow us there? That's where you're going to find all the most up-to-date what's going on with us is on Facebook. We also have a YouTube channel called She-Squatchers Official. And when we do the show with a video record, we'll often upload the video aspect of the show up there, so you can go see what's behind the scenes and see what we look like today.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're looking pretty good today. So we've got Amy Bue on the show tonight, and we were just talking before the break. We were talking about the Factor Fiction Fest that we're going to be a part of in Indianapolis, September 6th, 7th, and 8th, and the different people who are going to be there. We've got Bob Gimlin, Travis Walton, Lyle Blackburn, John Borowski, David Baccarat, Claudio Bergman, Bill and Amy Lancaster. They do the Bigfoot documentaries, and She-Squatchers was actually in their first Bigfoot documentary called Cultured Bigfoot. And we've got Mike and Mike from the Ohio Night Stalkers. Whoop, shout out to Mike and Mike. We've got our Amy Bue, our guest tonight. Dr. Rebecca Foster, Creature Replica, we've got Jeff Byers, Cryptid Matter, Expedition Bigfoot, the Sasquatch Museum, I've heard good things about them too.
Yeah, I want to go there.
Yeah. John St. John Sculptor, Lori Foster, Ravens Guild, and Sasquatch Chronicles. I'm going to be geeking out over that big time. And She-Squatchers will be there. We're not on the website yet, but we confirmed that like a week and a half ago that we were going to go. We said no for like, I don't know how many months, 4 or 6 months. We were saying, no, we can't come. No, we can't come. And finally, they talked us into it. So here we're going. And I'm so excited to come hang out with Amy Bue.
Me too. I'm excited.
Yeah, exciting. Giorgio Tsoukalos is going to be there from Ancient Aliens. He's the guy you see on all the memes that says, I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens.
Yes.
That guy's going to be there with the crazy hair.
Announced today.
They did. He's not on the website yet either.
I think he just got on there, but I'm not sure. Maybe not.
When Mike Feltner was messaging me today, and he said there's a big name that's going to be announced. It's about to be announced, and I'm like, he says it's not on their website yet, and I said I know they haven't said that She-Squatchers are going to be there yet. He totally didn't get my joke. He was a big name, She-Squatchers, and he's like, oh, they will. And then he just went on, and I'm like, oh, he didn't get my joke.
He's so nice. He's fun.
I know.
I just saw them this past weekend.
I saw that on Facebook, actually. I was seeing your face with them in their postings that they were with you. So,
yep.
Yeah. Pretty awesome. So, we're going to be there. And because we're talking about events, come on out and see us in Indianapolis. But hey, next week, She-Squatchers is leaving for Kansas City. We're going to be speaking at the Kansas City Paracon for the 3rd year in a row. We really feel honored and privileged that they keep inviting us back. They love us there, and we love them too. So please come see us at the Kansas City Paracon. You can find out more information about that event at kcparacon.net. So go check that out. We're going to be there August 9th and 10th. And hey, August 10th is my birthday. So if you're going to come to Kansas City, bring presents, okay? I keep saying that. They asked us to do a video commercial advertising the event, so we did, and in that I said it's my birthday, so bring presents.
Good.
And so I wonder how many people are actually going to bring presents. That'll be a fun little experiment.
Everybody should. Mm-hmm.
I hope I don't get more than one cake, because I wouldn't want cake to go to waste.
That's true. That's true. But share it with everybody. My cat is about to join us. Unfortunately, he got in the door.
Cats are welcome. Hi, Kitty. Kitty.
It's my daughter's cat, actually.
Awesome. So you've got some busy plans going on. What other events do you have going on this year?
Oh my goodness, so many. Like you said earlier, you just got really busy this year, and I am first to admit that I kind of overextended myself this year, but it's so much fun. Like, if somebody asks me to do something, if I'm able to do it, then I'll be like, yes, I'll do it. So I'm tired, but I'm still excited. I'm very excited. So some of the things coming up, end of October, I'm going to be helping with Creature Weekend at Salt Fork State Park. My favorite conference that they have in Ohio. It's real relaxed. You learn a lot. They have great speakers, and I think everybody should come to that. And so you can go to creatureweekend.com. And today is the last day to get discounted tickets. So after you're done listening to this, you have like an hour, I think, like Eastern Standard Time to get your discounted tickets. So you could all run there, get your Creature Weekend tickets. And Bob Gimlin's going to be there as well. And Adam Davies, who's like my favorite, like even more than Pee Wee Adam, like just my favorite. I love him. He's such a nice person, giving me a lot of advice and just super great. So he's going to be there. So yeah, everybody should come. And then at the end of September, I think it's September 26th to 29th. I'm not always good at dates. My Creekfoot event that I run with my BFF and research partner, Tina Sams, who you would love. That's who you need to meet. She's awesome. So much fun. But we have that in Columbiana County, Ohio. and right on the banks of Little Beaver Creek, which is a wild and scenic river in Ohio. It's beautiful there. It's kind of like Tina and I had been out to Beachfoot, Todd and Diane Neese's Beachfoot in Oregon last year. And we were like, this is awesome because it was such a relaxed, fun time with a bunch of researchers out there. And we asked them if they would care if we did our own little mini one, because it'll never be Beachfoot, but like our own little Ohio version of it. And they gave us their blessing and to call it Creekfoot. So it's just area researchers from Pennsylvania and Ohio mostly, but we have friends coming in from Indiana and different places. And it's like, we call it like a big Bigfoot family reunion out there. People with all different kinds of viewpoints about Bigfoot. Like, doesn't matter what you think it is, you can come there and be comfortable and say what you think. We have a whole bunch of different groups that come, people from different groups, and we have potlucks, and we go out Bigfooting at night, but it's kind of, more casual. Lots of kids come, families, and you can go fishing, and it's very inexpensive to stay there. It's only, if you bring a tent, it's only $5 per person per night. And it's really inexpensive, but we have a big pancake breakfast and a raffle where we try to raise money for the camp, because it's at a campground where they have a summer camp for kids 5 weeks of the year. And I met the people that run it, the caretakers, and they're like, we want to get some more people in here. And so they thought Bigfooters would be good. And I'm glad I met them. And I'm like, I think you're right. So that's one of my favorite events. It's just very relaxing and a lot of fun. So that's coming up this weekend. I'm going to be in Toledo. I'm going to be this is a fun thing. I've never done this before. They have these Bigfoot bicycle rides in Toledo Metro Parks. And I'm going to be talking about Bigfoot, but then they're going to have bicycle like little bicycle clinics too, and they're going to have a bike prom, and I don't even know what that is, but I am excited to go to it. And they then at night they take a bike ride through the metro parks and look for Bigfoot. So there's that. In August, I'm taking kind of a break after that because I'm a teacher and I'm going to be back at work, getting ready for the kids, because I always say I love Bigfoot. It is kind of like a second job, but being a teacher is my first job and first love. So I'm looking forward to seeing the kids again. And then I have something called Bigfoot Returns to Beaver Creek. It's in the same area as Creekfoot, but this is to raise money for the Friends of Beaver Creek, which is a state park in Ohio in Columbiana County. And Columbiana County has a lot of sightings. That's where I take most of my reports, either there or in the Allegheny National Forest in Pennsylvania, both of those places. But that's where the Ohio Howl was recorded, down that way. So Bigfoot is alive and well down in Columbiana County. But that is in September. I think it's 13th, 14th, and 15th. We're going to have a camp out a couple days. And then on the 15th, we have speakers coming in. It's a free event. But we hope that you'll buy some pancakes to help support the Friends of Beaver Creek. And that's the pancake breakfast is Sunday morning, the 15th. The Night Stalkers are coming. I'm so grateful to them. They're driving all the way from Cincinnati, which is several hours, to be a part of that and to help me out. And Crystal Panic, who's in the BFRO from New Hampshire, is coming in to speak. I'm really excited too. I have 3 area hunters who are also witnesses of mine that took their reports through the BFRO, and they are all speaking and telling their encounters, which I'm really excited about. One of those is a good friend of mine, Steve Yost, who has his own podcast he just started called Cryptid Curiosity. So he's going to be speaking, and I'm going to be speaking. I bore myself, but hopefully other people want to hear what I have to say. And then Tina Sams is going to be our MC. So that's going to be fun. I have another thing happening in Youngstown's Mill Creek Park, and I'm super excited about that because that's my hometown. Poland, Ohio is a suburb of Youngstown, but I live in Youngstown now. So, that's fun that they're going to be having something too. And I'm sure I'm forgetting some really important. Oh, yes, I am forgetting something really important. I'm going to be flying out for Labor Day weekend. I'm going to be going out to Spokane. I always used to say Spokane, but I guess they say Spokane, Washington. And I'm going to be speaking out there at Jeff Stevens Extreme Expeditions conference that he's having. So I'm excited about that. And besides all that, I'm going to be doing some different expeditions that, kind of off the radar a little bit. And I'm going to be traveling around to some of those and actually looking for Bigfoot instead of just talking about it, which I'm excited about.
Oh, for fun.
Yes.
That your schedule does sound like our schedule last year.
Yeah.
We would wake up in the morning in some hotel and go, where are we? What time are we supposed to speak today?
Right. It's so much fun, and I appreciate everything. I appreciate the people that have asked me. I appreciate anybody who wants to hear what I have to say. I have a lot of library talks coming up too, but it is, I'm tired. I keep saying I'm just have to make it to November and then I'm going to sleep. So I love it. So it's fine.
Good. Well, we got to do it while we can.
Exactly. You never know when you're not going to have the opportunity. So, I also want to make time for my family. I'm lucky because Lester, my fiance, he is into race cars. So usually when I'm off doing Bigfoot stuff, he's off doing race car stuff. So it works out for us. And my daughter's 23 and she's never around anyway.
Well, there you go. There you go. What do you do I was just telling this to somebody the other day. What do you do when your kids grow up and leave the house?
Sad.
You go looking for Bigfoot. That's what I did.
That's right. Well, that's true. That's the benefit. She actually lives with me, but I never see her because she's always with her friends. Like I'll see her if I peek through the crack of her room and she's sleeping. But she's gone a lot. But no, she's a good kid. She really is. She's not a kid anymore. She's a good person.
Right? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They're always going to be kids to us.
They are.
Yeah, I was just telling a client the other day, if you look at because she said she usually looks everybody up on Facebook. I said, well, be prepared if you look me up on Facebook.
That's funny.
Be prepared because my life is quite different than the average person's, I guess. But I said, this is what happens when my daughter is no longer supervising me. So
Isn't that the truth? Really. That's the truth. That is the truth. Yep.
I'll go out looking for Bigfoot and then go telling everybody about it. So yeah,
fun.
It is fun. It is fun. I did go through that time when she left of not feeling like I knew what to do with myself. But I found stuff to do with myself. Here I am.
Oh yeah. It's weird being a parent of an adult.
Yes.
Like I'm not exactly sure like what I'm allowed to say, like, because I don't want to tell her what to do, and it's strange. I like it, but it's strange.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah,
I found telling her what to do is not the right thing to do. It never was.
Right.
Stubborn like
that's true. Very, very true. You're right. Yeah, I learned that pretty quick. It doesn't work.
No.
And I have her own mind too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's good. As they should.
Yes. I'm excited because she's coming with me this weekend and we haven't done anything together for a while. But she's coming with me and my mom too. So we're having a little family outing to Toledo. And then we're going to be driving quite a ways from there Saturday night. And we're going to be heading over to see some of the primatologists that are in my Project Zoobook and having dinner with them and having some fun time with them.
Can you tell us more about your Project Zoobook?
I can. It's my favorite thing. It's my favorite thing. It's been such a pleasure. What I can tell you is that it started kind of by accident. I had just seen this young lady on one of the Bigfoot groups that was asking about an expedition and asking about kind of what it entailed. And I had noticed that nobody had really answered her. So I private messaged her and I said, this isn't my expedition, but if I can answer any questions, I'll answer whatever I can and help you out. And so we started talking and we were just talking through Messenger. I hadn't looked at her Facebook account or anything like that. But like you were saying, like I love women being in this. And so if I can encourage young girls or young ladies, young women, or old geezers like myself. Just anybody who is interested. I like it when there's other women involved. So anyway, so we talked for I think a week or so, and she started telling me about how her coworkers and herself, how they were really interested in Bigfoot, and they would get together at lunch every day and they would talk about Bigfoot. They had like a little lunch club. And she said they would listen to podcasts and they would read books and they would read reports and they were learning as much as they could about Bigfoot. And I was like, that's really cool. Here comes the cat. Stop it, kitty. Because I always tell the story, but I always say, my coworkers mostly I think I'm just really weird. So so I thought it was neat that she had supportive coworkers. And so yeah, it was at least a week later that she told me that she works in a zoo. And I thought, well, that's really cool. Still, not realizing how cool it was, but finally she told me that she was a zookeeper, and not only that, but she's a primatologist and she works with the chimps and the gorillas. And so then it like pretty quickly dawned on me that her lunch club with her coworkers were all of those primate keepers, and so they are very interested in Bigfoot. And I like my jaw dropped because I'm like, oh wow. I mean, like not all, the general public doesn't always want to hear anything about what we do, let alone scientists. And so we started just talking. I started talking to another one of them. I brought in Tina. I told you about my friend David Wickham, who's another research partner of mine. We hooked up with Shane Corson from Monster X Radio and the Olympic Project because they were asking all these questions. And I always say my job in Project Zoobook is to kind of coordinate things because I had my first sighting in 2012. I'm relatively new at this, and I know what I do know, and I know that there's a lot of things I don't know, and I never claim to be an expert in anything. And so I'm like, okay, well, they're interested in this, I'll get this person. They're interested in this, I'll get this person. So I've brought in different people to talk, and so now we have our little core group, but we've had a lot of guests that have talked to us. Dr. Meldrum has been in conversations with us quite a bit. We've had Laura Krantz from the Wild Thing podcast as a guest in these phone conferences because we kind of call ourselves a think tank at the base of this, where we discuss Bigfoot and possibilities. And then we have an anthropologist from the Smithsonian National Zoo and biologists from out west, and just gathering more people into this. And now we've been starting to be able to go do some cool things. Like myself and two of the zoologists, we flew out to meet Derek Randalls and Shane Corson from the Olympic Project earlier this year, and they were able to take a look at the nest that they've been studying, that the logging company found, and that was like one of the best things ever. And I know, like I always say, I know that I'm like really lucky because I'm not a scientist. I'm a reading teacher. I used to be a technical writer. Would write bank machinery installation manuals and things like that, and I was an editor. But I'm not a scientist, although I'm learning so much, and so I get to kind of tag along on these really cool things. And I just, like I said, I'm the coordinator of it. I'm learning a lot, and it's just the best. It's been utterly fascinating to hear their perspectives on something that I truly am passionate about, and that these people who are way smarter than me are backing what I think up. I'm not saying that they are all 100% believers, but they are absolutely open to it. And so we always say, Shane always says that our goal is kind of what Dr. Bindernagel always said. We want to make the topic of Sasquatch research and Bigfoot research less taboo. We want to find ways where we can break into venues and things that aren't traditional for us. With my volunteer naturalist classes, I was able to start talking. And even before that, I was able to start talking to like the Ohio Division of Wildlife, and the Audubon Society asked me to speak there. And it's people, I'm sitting there at an event for the Ohio Division of Wildlife, and it was a table about bees and beekeeping, and a table about birds. And then I had my Bigfoot table, and it was the coolest because it was accepted. And I still like was pinching myself because I'm like, they're not making fun of me here. Like, they're actually, people are coming and talking to me and wanting to know about it. And I just want to say, I didn't say this before, but kind of like I said about Creekfoot, I'm not saying that I 100% know what Bigfoot is, right? You have all different types of theories about it and people with all different types of experiences. I'm just interested in looking at it as a natural creature. Like that's my path that I'm looking at it right now. I don't claim to be an expert or to know everything, but that's what we are, looking into. Is it possible that there's some type of a North American primate that the Native Americans have been talking about and that really exists? So it's really cool.
Awesome. That is really cool. So I got to tell you who's in the chat room right now. We've got Abe Del Rio from the Minnesota Bigfoot Research Team. He came in to send his love and give support to you. So that's pretty awesome. And he says he has an inside thing, but he says, ask her if she ever got scared by an umbrella squatch.
Abe, you suck. Yes. No, it was the worst. And it's the funniest story. He laughs and laughs at me, and he wasn't even there. Oh my goodness. It was at Creekfoot in the spring. And I was out there, like there's the river, and there's a path along the one side of the river and a path along the other side of the river. And it was myself, my friend Scott, my friend Kevin, and my friend Brian. And we were walking on the other side of the river, and it had been kind of raining. So we're standing there and we're listening, right? And you know how like when you're listening and everything's quiet and you're just like kind of on edge, tense, listening. Well, Brian Davis, thanks, Brian. He decides that he's going to open his umbrella because it had started raining. And it's dark, I'm listening, and all I heard and saw was this like whoosh and this big black thing coming at me. And I didn't scream, Abe. I just kind of squealed a little bit. and Kevin, I can't remember exactly what he said. He's like, oh my Lord, or something like that. It scared all of us so badly because in my head, what it looked like, because it had opened toward me, it looked like one of those velociraptors from Jurassic Park. And it was terrifying. So yes, I was afraid of the umbrella, but it was dark and scary, and so that's why.
The umbrella squatch. That's awesome. Yes. I love it. That's perfect. Well, thanks for elaborating on that and letting us in on the inside joke. That's pretty awesome. I'm glad that Abe could tune in, and there's a whole bunch of people in the chat room. They've been pretty quiet, but they're just busy listening. So that's awesome. Thanks for coming, everybody. We just have like less than 2 minutes of the show left. Would you be willing to tell us where people could find you online?
Absolutely. Like right now, I'm working on a website for Able, but it's going to take a while because it just is. I already know this. But you can find me. We have a Creekfoot Facebook page if you're interested in that. I just created an Amy's Bucket List Expeditions page yesterday, and I put up my first blog post today. It's just something I've been wanting to do, and I'm like, hey, I'm just going to start it. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to try. I have this big bucket list. I'm a cancer survivor, and I just do what I want to do when I want to do it. And I have my Amy Bue Facebook page, BUE. Blue without the L, I always say, and friend me on there and see what I'm up to. I'm going to put a lot of my events that I am involved with on that Able page, though.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. Well, again, I just want to thank you for coming on the show tonight. I can't wait to see you in person at Factor Fiction Fest. Factor Fiction Fest, Indianapolis. Everybody, go check it out. Come see us. Be one of the 40,000 just one.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be fun.
Yes. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we'll see you next week. And remember to come out and see us in Kansas City next week as well. So good night, everyone.